Picture this. You awaken not to the chirp of a phone or hum of traffic, but to a dull bell. Its clang rolls through thick morning fog, each strike fading like ripples on a dark pond. Outside, the streets glisten with cold dew. The sky, a smear of slate. You sit up slowly. Your bed, a crude wooden frame stuffed with straw, creaks beneath you. The wool blanket is coarse and itchy, but you clutch it tighter. It's barely spring. Warmth, gone. Comfort, gone. Hope, well, that depends. Another bell tolls. It's not for prayer, not today. This is the death bell. Welcome to the city. The year, 1348. The place, somewhere in Western Europe. Florence, Avignon, London. The specifics hardly matter because soon, every alley, every churchyard, every bustling market square will share the same fate. The Black Death has arrived. Spoiler, not everyone will survive. Congratulations, you are still breathing. For now. But how does a society already on the edge cope when death stalks its streets? How do the people, noble and peasant alike, cling to some version of care, hope, or simple decency? Tonight, we'll wander through one forgotten corner of that world, the medieval hospital. You'll see how they fought back or didn't, how they tried, failed, and sometimes surprised even themselves. Lean back, slow your breath. You're safe here in this story, though outside your window, the mist may still carry shadows. And so it begins. Picture this. You stir beneath your rough blanket. The air in the room is sharp with dampness, thick with the scent of smoke and old sweat. You shiver. The tiny window is shuttered, but drafts slip through cracks in the frame like invisible fingers. You rub your eyes and rise slowly. The straw mattress beneath you shifts, sending a puff of dust into the stale air. You cough, covering your mouth instinctively, a futile gesture in a world where the very air might kill. Welcome to the hospital. If you imagined a grand stone edifice with arched windows and clean sheets, adjust that image. Here, hospital means a converted monastery hall. Rows of wooden cots, some with curtains of sackcloth for privacy, most bare. The floor is uneven stone, strewn with rushes meant to absorb, well, everything. They do their job badly. You sit on the edge of your cot. A young boy shuffles past with a bucket, eyes downcast. The bucket smells of bile and worse. No words are spoken. Voices waste breath. A bell clangs again. One long toll, a new arrival. You hear the scrape of a stretcher across stone, the soft moan of its occupant. The boy crosses himself without looking. You inhale, bad choice. The air is ripe with the scents of vinegar, lavender, and something darker underneath. Decay masked by herbs. You blink hard, grounding yourself, one moment at a time. How did you get here? Memory flickers. The first chills, the racing heart, the worried glance of your brother as he helped you through the hospital's doors 2 nights ago. 2 nights? Or more. Time dissolves here, replaced by the rhythm of bells and footfalls. A voice murmurs from the next cot. An old woman, her words thick with fever. Saint Sebastian, protect us. Saint Roch, deliver us. She repeats the names like a litany. You listen, heart pounding. The saints may be busy elsewhere today. Across the hall, a nun in a gray habit tends a patient. Her hands move briskly. Sponge, cloth, linen. The patient stirs weakly. You can't tell if he's conscious. Nearby, a young man lies rigid beneath a thin sheet. His skin is pale as wax, with angry black swellings at his neck and groin. Buboes. The word stabs into your thoughts. You pull your blanket tighter. 3 facts hit you in sequence. Clean water, scarce. Medicine, crude. Miracles, unlikely. And yet, here you are. A flicker of movement catches your eye. A rat scurries beneath the cots, vanishing into shadows. No one reacts. Too common. Too late. You shift your weight, testing your strength. Legs, trembling but steady. Breath, ragged, but yours. Will you leave this place? Impossible to know. But one thing is certain. The rules of the outside world no longer apply here. Inside these stone walls, time and fate hold all the cards. And for now, all you can do is watch, wait, and survive. And so the pale morning creeps on. Picture this. A draft slips beneath your blanket, worming its way up your spine. You blink into the murky half-light. Night is gone, but dawn brings little warmth. The hospital's stone walls trap the cold like a crypt. You sit up, shoulders hunched, breath rising in pale puffs. Around you, the other patients shift and murmur in their sleep. A few cough, wet, rasping sounds that echo in the cavernous hall. The scent of damp stone, unwashed bodies, and bitter herbs clings to everything. Heat, absent, privacy, laughable, comfort, a distant dream. You glance at the ceiling. Heavy beams loom above, strung with bundles of lavender and sage. Their purpose? To ward off the pestilence. Or so they say. The scent is pleasant enough, sharp, green, but it cannot mask the deeper odor of sickness. At the hall's far end, a brazier smolders fitfully, tended by a shivering novice. The fire is feeble. Wood is precious now. Too many cartloads are used for burning the dead. A scrawny cat curls near the warmth, watching the boy with wary eyes. You envy its indifference. Your blanket itches. You scratch absently and pause. Fingernails brush something hard. A louse. You flick it away with a grimace. Another fact of life here. The lice don't care about class or coin. Neither do the fleas. You glimpse them sometimes, leaping from cot to cot like tiny black acrobats. One bed over, a gaunt merchant slaps at his skin in frustration. His eyes meet yours, hollow and resigned. No words pass between you. They aren't needed. A nun arrives with fresh rushes, scattering them across the filthy floor. The old ones, blackened with filth and worse, lie in a pile by the door. The smell makes your stomach heave. You swallow hard. Above the doorway, a wooden plaque bears a simple carving. Domus Dei, God's house. A bitter thought rises unbidden. If this is God's house, his housekeeper is overworked. The nun moves on. A novice follows, sprinkling vinegar from a battered pewter cup. It helps, faintly. The air stings your nostrils, but for a moment you can breathe without gagging. Will the warmth return? Unlikely. The plague respects no season. Even now, as spring creeps toward summer, the pestilence blooms in lungs and blood alike. You shift again. The straw beneath you crackles, rough against bare skin. Each movement stirs the lice. You scratch without thinking. Sleep, impossible. Cleanliness, an illusion. Hope, flickering, fragile. A rat skitters past, bold in daylight. You watch it vanish beneath the nearest cot. The old woman beside you whispers another prayer. Another fact. In this place, even the rats thrive. The brazier gutters, casting long shadows. Outside, the bell tolls once more. Another soul lost, another cot soon emptied. And so the cold lingers. Picture this. The bell chimes faintly through the gray dawn. You blink, weary and sore. Sleep offered no refuge, only a drifting haze. Now, weak sunlight seeps between the shutters, illuminating the hospital's crude geometry. Rows of beds, streaked stone walls, damp rushes underfoot. Your mouth tastes of ash and bile. A sour thirst grips your throat. You crave water, not just to drink, but to wash away the film of sickness clinging to your skin. You swing your legs over the cot. Cold stone bites your bare feet. A shiver ripples through you. The lice stir again beneath your clothes. Relentless companions. A novice moves between the beds, carrying a dented wooden pail. Steam curls faintly from its surface. Warm water, rare and precious. You watch as the pail makes its slow progress toward your cot. When at last it reaches you, the novice offers no words, only a nod. His eyes are shadowed, movements brisk and practiced. You dip trembling fingers into the water. The warmth stings cracked skin. You suppress a gasp. You splash your face, throat, and wrists. The water turns gray in an instant. You resist the urge to drink. It is not for that. No one here would risk such folly. Nearby, another patient ignores the rule. A gaunt man lifts the pail to his lips. The novice snatches it away, hissing a warning. The man shrinks back, eyes wild. You dry your face on a corner of your blanket. No linen towels here. You feel cleaner, barely. The lice remain. So does the stink of illness. Next comes a greater trial. The chamber pot, a squat wooden bench with a hole, shielded by a torn cloth curtain in the hall's far corner. The privy. You dread it. Everyone does. But there is no choice. You rise unsteadily, clutching the cot for balance. Each step sends jolts of pain through weary muscles. The stone floor is slick with damp. At the privy you gag. The stench is a living thing, hot, fetid, overpowering. A novice stands nearby with a basket of herbs, tossing them beneath the bench between uses. A futile effort. You glance at the others waiting in line. Eyes downcast, faces pale. No one speaks. You do what must be done as quickly as you can. Privacy, non-existent. Cleanliness, laughable. Dignity, threadbare. You return to your cot, heart racing. A nun passes by with a basin of vinegar, sponging the worst of the filth from the floor. The vinegar's sharp tang cuts through the miasma for a moment. You collapse onto your straw mattress, exhausted. Even this simple ritual, water, privy, sponge, has drained you. Above, the herbs sway in unseen currents. Sage, lavender, rosemary. Their scents mingle with sweat and sickness. A rhetorical question flickers through your mind. Is this care, or is it simply containment? Nearby, a young mother cradles her feverish child. Her face is streaked with tears. Her child stirs fitfully, moaning. The mother hums a broken lullaby. A hospital porter passes, face grim. He carries a bundle wrapped in stained linen. You know without asking, another soul lost to the plague. And still, the day is only beginning. And so the pale light deepens. Picture this, the sun creeps higher, its feeble rays barely penetrating the gloom. Hunger gnaws at you, dull but insistent. You lie still, listening. Around you, the sounds of morning stir. Whispered prayers, muted coughs, the shuffle of feet. Soon the scent of something edible drifts through the hall, not pleasant, not foul, just there. You sit up, joints aching. The promise of food, however thin, pulls you upright. A bell tolls thrice. Mealtime. 2 novices appear, pushing a crude wooden cart. Upon it rest several battered clay bowls, a mound of coarse bread, and a large iron pot from which steam escapes sluggishly. Porridge, thin, gray, unappealing, but it will keep you upright. The novices move from bed to bed. No ceremony here. A scoop of porridge, a hunk of bread. A tin spoon if you're lucky. Wooden if not. You watch their progress with guarded eyes. Finally, one reaches you. Without a word, he ladles a portion into a cracked bowl and drops a small, hard crust beside it. The spoon is wooden, its surface worn smooth by countless hands. You murmur a hoarse thanks. The novice doesn't reply. You stare at the porridge. It shudders slightly in the bowl, flecked with something green, parsley perhaps, or a distant cousin. You taste it. Warm, bland, a faint trace of salt. You eat slowly, forcing each bite past the lump in your throat. The bread is harder than the cot's frame, but chewable if soaked. Around you, others eat in silence. The young mother dips bread into her bowl, feeding her child with shaking hands. An old priest across the aisle prays over his meal before consuming it with surprising vigor. You wonder, is this food or merely fuel? You glance at your spoon, once ornate, now dulled by time and use, a relic of better days. You grip it tightly. Small comforts matter. A patient nearby retches suddenly, unable to keep the meal down. A nun hurries over, soothing him with soft words. The mess is swiftly cleaned, the smell masked with vinegar and herbs. You eat the last of your porridge. Hunger remains, but you feel steadier. One more task complete. One more moment survived. Around you, the bowls are collected. The cart trundled away. Silence returns, broken only by labored breathing and whispered prayers. You lean back, weary. The simple act of eating has exhausted you. But here, every bite is defiance. Every swallow, a small rebellion against the dark tide. In the far corner, a young boy with fevered eyes stares at his untouched meal. A nun kneels beside him, coaxing him to eat. Her voice is gentle, her touch light. The boy's lips tremble, a fleeting thought. In a world unraveling, kindness still flickers. And so the slow day stretches ahead. Picture this. The morning drags on, time marked only by the changing light and the muffled tolling of bells. You sit upright now, wrapped tightly in your coarse wool blanket. Hunger momentarily sated, your thoughts drift to other discomforts. Chief among them, your clothing or what remains of it. When you arrived, half carried, half staggering, you wore the best you could muster. Now, days later, those garments hang limply from your frame, stained with sweat, bile, and worse. You peel them back with trembling fingers, inspecting the damage. The linen undershirt, once white, now the color of old parchment, is stiff with dried filth. The wool tunic atop it reeks, having soaked up the hospital's miasma like a sponge. Warmth, scarce, style, irrelevant. Cleanliness, a fleeting memory. A novice passes by with a bundle of laundered clothes. Rare. The hospital's wash house works day and night now, but fresh garments are rationed for the dying, the newly arrived, or the exceptionally lucky. You glance down at your sleeves. The fabric scratches your skin. Each movement sends a cascade of invisible lice exploring new territory. You scratch idly, resigned. A nun approaches, her face hidden beneath a heavy wimple. In her hands, a folded tunic and fresh shift. Your heart leaps. A change of clothes. She gestures gently. You nod in thanks, managing a faint smile. You strip quickly beneath the blanket, modesty abandoned long ago. The lice scatter. You scrub your skin with a damp cloth offered by the nun, the water stinging open sores and raw patches. The new shift is rough linen, freshly boiled. The tunic, plain dark wool. No embroidery, no ornament. Here, survival trumps fashion. You slip them on, the clean fabric cool against fevered skin. A small victory. Around you, others are less fortunate. An old man in the next cot clutches a threadbare cloak, refusing to part with it even for washing. A young woman nearby wears a noblewoman's gown, now torn and soiled beyond recognition. Disease respects no rank. You watch the scene unfold, a silent fashion parade of ruin. A rhetorical thought surfaces. What use are silks and velvets when death wears no uniform? At the ward's entrance, a city official arrives. His garb is striking, a bright red robe trimmed in fur, a heavy chain about his neck, the symbol of civic duty. Yet beneath the finery, his face is pale, eyes wary. No amount of fabric shields him from the plague. You glance at your own tunic, plain, functional, honest. In this place, it is enough. The nun returns with a comb and a small flask of vinegar. You lean forward as she works through your hair with practiced hands. The vinegar stings your scalp but drives the worst of the lice away, if only for a time. You murmur your thanks again. She offers a brief smile, weary but sincere. Nearby, a child clutches a rag doll dressed in scraps of fine brocade, a mother's gift, now a talisman against the dark. And so you sit, clad in rough new clothes, a little cleaner, a little stronger. Outside, the bells toll anew. Life and death continue their relentless march, and so the hours creep onward. Picture this. The bells fade into the distance, their mournful echo swallowed by the restless city beyond these walls. You shift beneath your blanket, gaze drawn to the shuttered window. For the first time in days, a flicker of curiosity stirs. What lies outside now? The hospital, grim as it is, offers a fragile shelter. Beyond it, the streets teem with new dangers. You've heard them whispered in the dark. Lawless men, desperate for food or coin, abandoned carts clogging the alleys, the dead left where they fell. Still, part of you longs to see. A nun arrives with a small loaf of bread and a folded parchment, an official pass. She presses it into your trembling hand. For when you are strong enough, she murmurs. You nod, the paper heavy with unspoken promise. Outside, one day soon. By late afternoon, you muster the strength to rise. Cloaked in your rough tunic, blanket draped over your shoulders, you shuffle toward the entrance. Two porters guard the heavy wooden doors. One eyes your pass, then gestures. The bolt slides back with a groan. Sunlight blinds you for a moment. Bright, cold, unkind. You blink, heart hammering. The street yawns before you. Narrow, cobbled, choked with filth. Rivulets of dark water snake between broken stones. Flies buzz in lazy clouds. Transport, scarce. Safety, uncertain. Sanity, fragile. You edge forward. The air outside is no cleaner, perhaps worse. The acrid stench of smoke mingles with the iron tang of blood and rot. You gag, pulling the blanket tighter. A rickety cart rattles past, drawn by a gaunt mule. Upon it, linen-wrapped bundles lie in grim procession. The driver, a boy no older than 12, avoids your gaze. His face is hollow, eyes too old. Farther along, a pair of merchants argue over a blocked alley. One holds a crude pike, the other a rusted sword. Words soon give way to blows. You retreat hastily, pulse racing. A rhetorical question hums in your mind. When order crumbles, who rules the roads? You press onward. Past the next corner, a nobleman's carriage lies abandoned, its velvet cushions soaked with rain. The horses, gone. Scavengers have already stripped the wheels. Nearby, a barefoot woman pushes a barrow piled with firewood. Her face is masked with a scrap of linen, eyes darting with mistrust. You step aside as she passes. Trust is a rare commodity here. At the marketplace, if it can still be called that, wagons stand half-toppled. Crates of spoiled fruit rot in the sun. A dog roots among the refuse. A town crier stands atop a barrel, voice hoarse. By order of the council, no gatherings, no markets, no festivals. His words drift into the uncaring air. Few listen, fewer obey. You pause beneath a weathered archway, catching your breath. A man nearby coughs violently, spitting blackened blood. You recoil instinctively. Danger, omnipresent. Refuge, elusive. Hope, tattered. A lone friar walks past, swinging a brass censer. The sweet smoke offers a momentary veil, thin as faith itself. You breathe deeply, savoring the illusion. Then, a sudden shout. A group of masked men rounds the corner, clubs in hand. You shrink into the shadows. Their eyes gleam with fevered light. Looters. No law restrains them now. You wait until they pass, heart pounding. Your limbs tremble with exhaustion. Enough. The city is a maw that devours the weak. You turn back, weaving through alleys toward the hospital's gate. Each step is a victory, each breath a gift. The porters admit you silently. Within, The familiar gloom enfolds you. The bells toll again, another life claimed. And so you lie back upon your cot, body weary but spirit unbroken. For now, and so the shadows deepen. Picture this. You awaken to the sound of cartwheels grinding across stone. Dawn's pale light seeps through cracks in the shutters. Another restless night behind you. Another day begins, for those who can still work. Your limbs ache, but curiosity stirs. You've glimpsed the city's streets. Now you wonder, how do its people endure? A nun brings broth and bread. You eat slowly, strength returning. By mid-morning, you rise again. With the porter's wary consent, you step outside once more, this time seeking not escape, but understanding. The streets remain perilous, but life persists in jagged rhythms. You follow the flow of foot traffic, such as it is, toward the lower market quarter. There, amid cracked paving and sagging stalls, the city's craftsmen and peasants cling to routine. Work, driven by hunger, safety, an afterthought. Order, a fragile fiction. Picture this. A blacksmith's forge still burns, its master hammering with grim resolve. Sparks leap, steel sings. The smith's face is masked, not for plague, but against smoke and ash. A battered apprentice pumps the bellows, sweat streaking his soot-blackened skin. Nearby, a cooper shapes barrel staves with rhythmic strokes. The scent of fresh oak cuts through the city's stench, sharp, clean, alive. You pause, savoring it. A weaver's shop lies open to the street. Within, a lone woman tends her loom. The shuttle flies, thread by thread. Her hands move without pause. Behind her, bundles of cloth await buyers who may never come. You step aside as a farmer's cart lurches past. Turnips, onions, bruised apples. Hard-won harvest in lean times. The farmer's eyes are wary. Beside him, his son, a boy of 9, clutches a worn staff. Protection? Perhaps. A rhetorical thought surfaces. In a dying city, what is the worth of labor? Yet work continues. A shoemaker patches worn boots, fingers deft despite trembling. A potter shapes rough clay vessels, practical, unadorned. A baker sells coarse loaves through a barred window, exchanging bread for coin with a hooked stick. You watch a washerwoman scrub linens in a shallow stream beyond the walls. Her hands are raw, her face lined with fatigue. The water runs gray with filth, yet she works on. Each task performed with grim determination, each breath drawn against unseen peril. And yet, moments of humanity flicker. A street fiddler plays a mournful tune. The melody drifts above the market's clamor, haunting and fragile. For a heartbeat, the city pauses to listen. A brief portrait. Hans, the cobbler's boy. No more than 12, face smudged with grime. He runs errands tirelessly, dodging carts and stray dogs. In his pocket, a sprig of lavender plucked for his ailing mother. Small kindness amid ruin. You retreat as noon approaches. The market swells with desperate energy. Men shout, women bargain, children dart beneath laden carts. Fear simmers beneath each glance. By the time you reach the hospital gates once more, exhaustion weighs heavy. The city's pulse beats on, but for how long? And so the sun climbs higher. Picture this. The bells chime noon as you lie upon your cot, weary from your venture beyond the walls. Yet sleep eludes you, curiosity gnaws still. How does the other half live, now that death walks among them? You've seen the craftsmen and peasants. But what of the noble lords, the rich merchants, the city's officials? Do their silks and titles shield them from fear? The porters grant you leave once more. Cloaked in rough wool, pass in hand, you step into the city's upper quarter, where carved stone meets timber, and fine carriages once rolled proudly through the streets. Now, the roads lie eerily quiet. The great doors of manor houses remain shut. Silk banners hang limp in the stale air. Privilege, muted. power, brittle, safety, an illusion. A pair of city guards, faces masked with linen, eye you warily as you pass. Their halberds gleam, freshly polished, yet their hands tremble. Even steel cannot fend off the plague. You follow a side street toward the civic hall. There the council still meets, out of duty or denial. Through an open window you glimpse the chamber within. Hooded figures huddle around a long table. Documents scatter its surface, decrees, death tallies, tax records. A portly official reads aloud in a quavering voice. 3 more streets quarantined. The Bakers' Guild petitions for grain relief. The gravediggers request hazard pay. Another interrupts, voice sharp with fear. Seal the gates. No more refugees. Debate follows, heated and frantic. No agreement comes. The bell tolls again. Grim punctuation to their impotence. You turn away, heart heavy. Outside, a noblewoman's litter sways unsteadily, borne by masked servants. Curtains drawn tight, its occupant unseen. Yet from within comes the sound of muffled weeping. A rhetorical thought stirs. What is rank when all men face the same grave? You wander farther. In the courtyard of a grand estate, a knight in tarnished armor drills alone. His blade flashes in practiced arcs, sweat darkening the linen beneath his mail. An exercise in futility or stubborn pride? You cannot tell. At the cathedral's shadowed entrance, a merchant kneels in fervent prayer. Beside him stands a chest of coin, offered to the church in desperate hope. His lips move silently, bargains with heaven, counted in gold. You pause before a tailor's shop. Within, bolts of silk and velvet lie untouched. A lone seamstress stitches burial shrouds instead, fingers moving in weary rhythm. Fashion yields to necessity. A brief portrait. Lady Isabel glimpsed through a manor window. Once the city's brightest ornament, now pale, veiled, seated alone before a cold hearth. In her lap, a half-finished tapestry. Its scene, a garden untouched by plague, a world that no longer exists. The afternoon wanes, shadows lengthen. You sense the city's heartbeat slowing. Nobles retreat behind stone walls. Officials draft edicts none dare enforce. Servants vanish, loyalty undone by fear. And through it all, the plague moves unseen, silent, patient, indifferent. You return to the hospital as dusk gathers. Behind you, the great houses stand watch, empty fortresses in a crumbling world. And so twilight descends. Picture this. Dusk settles over the city like a worn cloak. Yet within its folds, life stirs still, driven by need, hunger, and desperate bargains. You awaken once more to the tolling of evening bells. Sleep came in uneasy snatches. Now curiosity pulls you upright again. The lower market, once bustling by daylight, transforms after dark. The boldest merchants and the craftiest swindlers know. Fear thins the crowds, but fattens the profits. Drawn by restless energy, you step into the cooling night, blanket draped around your shoulders. Shadows lengthen along the crooked alleys. Torchlight flickers in makeshift stalls. The scent of smoke and stale ale hangs heavy. Honesty, rare. Fairness, rarer. Necessity, universal. Picture this. Beneath a sagging canopy, a spice merchant hawks dubious wares. His voice rings out, unnaturally loud in the hush. Camphor! Cinnamon! Guaranteed to ward the pestilence. You pause, watching. His goods, moth-eaten bundles, chipped flasks, change hands swiftly. Fear buys what reason would not. Next stall, an apothecary with trembling hands. He sells packets of dried herbs, vials of colored water. His eyes dart nervously. Behind him, a faded placard reads, "Endorsed by 3 physicians." You doubt any live to dispute it. A rhetorical thought arises. When death stalks the streets, who prices salvation? You move on. At the square's edge, a ragged clerk collects taxes for the council. A battered chest rests before him, half filled with coin and trinkets. A gaunt baker approaches, clutching a small pouch. The clerk weighs it, frowns. 2 more deniers or I seize the millstone. The baker protests. The clerk shrugs. A city guard steps forward. The baker yields, trembling. Another coin, another crumb of civic order preserved. For now. Nearby, a lean man in a stained doublet whispers to passers-by. You catch fragments. Safe passage, falsified permits, a clean bill of health. His grin gleams like a blade. You shake your head. Swindlers thrive where hope is scarce. A child tugs at your sleeve, barefoot, wide-eyed. She offers a withered apple for sale. You press a coin into her palm and wave her away. Small kindness, fleeting comfort. A brief portrait. Father Anselm, a parish priest. Cloaked in tattered vestments, he offers true words amid the market's false promises. His sermon tonight is short. Trust not in gold or charms. Seek mercy, not profit. Few heed him. You linger a moment longer. Beyond the torches, darker deals unfold. Coin traded for rumors. Food bartered for flesh. The market breathes and writhes. A wounded beast too stubborn to die. Exhausted, you turn back. The hospital's gate welcomes you once more. A grim refuge from a city devouring itself. Behind you, the market hums on. Its heartbeat faint beneath the tolling bells. And so the night deepens. Picture this. The city lies bruised, battered, but not yet still. Word drifts through the ward. There's to be a gathering tonight. Foolish, perhaps. Yet hope starves as surely as the body. People crave distraction, any illusion of life before the plague. Curious, you rise and slip once more into the streets. By twilight, a ragged crowd gathers in the old square. Torches gutter, casting long shadows. Someone strums a lute. Children chase each other beneath faded banners. Joy, thin. Danger, thick. Escape, priceless. An impromptu troupe performs crude plays. Saints and sinners. Death itself leering in a painted mask. Laughter ripples, edged with hysteria. Nearby, a dice game draws desperate men. Coins clink, tempers flare. You watch from a safe distance. One man wins, cackles, then coughs blood into his palm. The dice roll on. A makeshift arena stands at the square's edge. 2 bruisers circle within, fists raised. Bets are shouted, wagers passed. Flesh meets flesh with dull thuds. A rhetorical question. What is sport when the true enemy is unseen? You retreat as the revelry sours. Wine flows, tempers fray. A knife flashes. A scream cuts the air. A brief portrait. Greta, a washerwoman. Tonight, she dances barefoot, eyes shining with fever-bright hope. Tomorrow, she may not rise. But tonight, she lives. You return to the hospital, heart heavy. The city clings to spectacle as it does to life, desperate, defiant, doomed. And so the torches burn low. Picture this. Morning fog curls through the streets. The bells toll, once for the dead, twice for the condemned. Justice, too, staggers under plague's weight. You drift toward the courthouse, curiosity piqued. Guards stand pale and thin. The dungeon master, once proud, now coughs between commands. Law, brittle. Mercy, rare. Fear, everywhere. Inside, a hurried trial unfolds. A baker accused of hoarding. Witnesses murmur, judge scowls, sentence pillory. Swift, brutal, final. You follow the procession. In the square, the baker is bound. Rotten turnips fly. A child laughs. A woman weeps. Nearby, the jail reeks of vinegar and despair. Prisoners, thieves, debtors, now plague-ridden, crowd the cells. Chains rattle. A priest mutters last rites. A rhetorical thought. What crime outlives the pestilence? A brief portrait. Martin, once a thief, now a jailer's helper, wiping fevered brows. Redemption, bought in drops. You turn away, chilled. The city punishes, but cannot save. And so the gavel falls again. Picture this. The ward stirs with fevered whispers. Another wave of sickness surges. Not all plague, coughs, flux, old wounds. Each claiming their share. A doctor arrives, clad in strange garb. Long cloak, beaked mask. The scent of vinegar and herbs clings to him. Science, frail, superstition, rampant. Hope, flickering. He examines patients briskly, lancing buboes, burning rags, muttering prayers between cures. Bloodletting, powders, charms, tools as much for comfort as cure. A nun passes, scattering rosemary. Another hangs amulets, wolf teeth, saints' medals above the cots. You watch, wary. Faith and fear weave tightly here. A rhetorical thought. When death knows no master, who dares play healer? A brief portrait. Anna, an herbalist. No title, no license. Yet her simples ease pain where gold cannot. Night falls, remedies dwindle. Faith alone stands watch, and so the fever burns on. Picture this. The ward fills with soft voices. Families gather, seeking scraps of connection before the final parting. Love, fragile, ties strained. Farewell, constant. A husband clasps his wife's hand, her breath shallow. No words left, only touch. A mother soothes her fevered child, rocking gently. A lullaby threads through the gloom. Nearby, a scribe pens hasty wills, land, livestock, blessings, scrawled between coughs. Marriages hasten. In the courtyard, a priest binds hands in trembling blessing. No feast, no crowd, just witness and hope. A rhetorical thought. What vows hold when the grave waits nearby? A brief portrait. Tomas, age 7. Orphaned, yet watches over his baby sister. A child made caretaker. You lie back, heart heavy. Bonds endure. But fate unravels them daily. And so another night begins. Picture this. Within the hospital walls, life grinds on. Meals prepared, linens scrubbed, order maintained amid decay. Tasks, endless. Strength, waning, necessity, rules all. In the kitchen, a lone cook stirs thin broth. Herbs mask rot. Bread stretches thin. No waste is tolerated. Nuns scrub floors with vinegar, hands raw. Chamber pots are emptied. Straw replaced. Daily battles against filth. A seamstress patches garments, her needle swift. Even rags must serve again. You sip hot broth, grateful. The simple warmth stirs life. A rhetorical thought. Is survival not built on small labors? A brief portrait. Magda, a laundress, fingers cracked, spirit steady. Her work unseen, her value immense. Outside, bells toll anew. Inside, life persists, task by task. And so the day wanes. Picture this. Dusk descends. The city shifts. Fear deepens. But so does hunger for distraction. Shutters close. Doors bolt. Yet some lights flicker on. Safety, false. Wine, strong. Company, fleeting. A few taverns still open. You pass one, dim, smoky, full of strained laughter. Men huddle over ale, voices low, dice clatter. A lute plucks a mournful tune. Outside, streets lie empty. Dogs roam. Thieves, too. The wise stay hidden. A rhetorical thought. Does one drink to forget, or to remember they're alive? A brief portrait. Old Bertram, the tavern keeper. Face-lined, hands steady, he serves all, judges none. You return before curfew, heart wary. The night belongs to shadows, and so darkness thickens. Picture this. Back in the ward, the old ones speak softly. Survival tips, hard-earned, quietly passed on. Breathe shallow near the sick. Burn herbs daily. Avoid crowds. Sleep near walls, not doorways. Food, eat sparingly. Water, always boiled. Clothing, change when you can. Trust few. Move quickly. Pray often, but act first. A rhetorical thought. Is wisdom not survival itself? A brief portrait. Brother Hugo, oldest in the ward. He's seen 4 plagues. Quiet eyes, sharp mind. He speaks little, but you listen. You lie back, absorbing each word. Small acts, small hopes. Enough for now. And so wisdom lingers. Picture this. The ward is still. Only breath and distant bells stir the air. Darkness, deep. Thoughts, restless. Time, uncertain. You lie awake. The ceiling fades. Questions rise. Why some? Why now? A nun lights a single candle. Its glow seems vast in the gloom. Around you, sighs, prayers, soft weeping. Life hangs by threads, a rhetorical thought. Does dawn promise safety, or simply more trials? A brief portrait. Jacob, a young scribe. Fevered, yet smiling faintly. He copies psalms by weak light, for others to find. Your eyes grow heavy, the candle wavers. Outside, a faint bird call. Dawn nears, and so the long night ends. Picture this. Soft light filters through the shutters. The bells toll, a slower, gentler rhythm now. You awaken, weary but alive. Breath steady, heart calm. Outside, the city stirs again. Smoke rises. Feet tread worn paths. Life, fragile, endures. The hospital hums softly. New faces arrive. Others fade. You watch, hands folded. A rhetorical thought. Is each sunrise not a quiet victory? A brief portrait. Sister Claire. Young, steadfast. Her smile rare but real. She greets each dawn with a whispered, "Still here." You rest back, eyes closing. The candle flickers once more. You've seen much, learned more. Survived today. Sleep now. The world waits, but not tonight. Good night.